Here's the mock-up of its ride height. Kind of put the pieces together here. Test fit. Now everything is glued in. I'm gonna have to try to lower this about at least 3 millimeters. For many of my kits, I like to test fit and lower the cars because a lot of times it's way too high. So for this one, you can check out my detailed lowering video of how I did this, but this is a quick version of some of the things I had to adjust and modify. Here is the result, lowered. No more gap. No more gap. I decided to make this build a little easier. I was going to use white primer, which was going to be the racing stripes too, so that way cuts down on some of the time and paint. So first layer, white primer, which I will use as racing stripes. I'll then mask off the racing stripes and then paint the blue color on top of that. Got the primer down. The primer will be the racing stripes. So take some 4000 sandpaper to smooth some of this out before I mask it off. The white was pretty smooth since it will be the final finish of the racing stripes. I used the Tamiya curve masking tape to mask off some of the side stripes. So I'm going to try to cut some circle masks, okay, out of this. We will see if this will work. Just like that. Because of the complicated masking on here, I did not want to mess it up, so I used a clear to kind of seal in the paint as an insurance policy. Kind of helps seal it in and lessens my chance of paint bleeding underneath. For this paint job, I used Mr. Color leveling thinner to further help level some of the big drops on the paint. So I airbrushed two thorough coats. They weren't super light, they weren't super heavy, but heavy enough to get a good coating on it to help level out the paint. This is the first time I've done this, but I had to do this for this car because of the bad paint I had on there. So, good way to see if this works. Definitely the leveling thinner. Here are the results. So, I don't know if you noticed, but when I was spraying this in the spray booth, my 10 to 15-year-old can of paint was splattering, sputtering. It was shooting out big drops of paint all over the place, all over the car. So, after waiting a little bit, some of the natural leveling abilities of the lacquer paint was working. So the orange peel was minimal, so it wasn't too bad. And then at the end, you can see that I used Mr. Color leveling thinner. I shot some of this over the paint with my airbrush to level it even more. There are many videos online, great videos by the way, disproving that you cannot sand metallic paints. So since this is metallic paint, I think I will try wet sanding this. Since the tape is already on the super thin primer I don't want to disrupt or mess up, I will try to wet sand parts of this to see if sanding metallic paint is okay. Let's see if I could fix some of this, improve some of this finish here, even though it's pretty good actually. I start off with a lower grit. I think for this one I started with a 6000 and then slowly moved up, making sure that I was sanding very carefully, making sure to stop right when the paint is even, checking it after a few passes each time. Finally, here's the 12,000 grit, pretty much where I usually stop before compound. Pretty good. You see that? So you saw earlier I wet sanded the pieces while it was still taped up and masked, so I can protect the white. But pretty good, huh? I probably, you know, this kit and my previous kit, I actually, for my previous kit, I forgot to put down a coat of gloss at the end, because after I wet sand it and then put compound on it, it looked like this. That's why I forgot. I didn't need it. So, if I had decals, etc., maybe I would have remembered easier to put that gloss down, but I didn't need it. This is glossy enough. I don't need the super glossy, uber glossy finish that doesn't look real, especially scale wise. This looks like a brand new car in a showroom, which is fine. The next steps will be final assembly for this kit. So I'm going to take the masking off. I'll probably polish it up, but you know what? Final assembly, and you know what? Also, the decals. Okay, so I'm going to have to figure out how to print decals, custom decals out for the racing number here, and also the Hot Wheels logo. So we will figure that out, and also final assembly. Thanks for watching.